My name is Bill Jones. I'm with recapturefederalism.com. Today's presentation regards Chicago, Illinois, and street gangs. In 2012, the Illinois General Assembly passed a law regarding civil liabilities in relationship to street gangs. And they had some legislative findings. The act is the Illinois Street Gang Terrorism Omnibus Prevention Act. And that's what it's called. Now, the legislative findings, there's 4 paragraphs that describe it. And yes, I'm talking about terrorism. Domestic terrorism. Terrorism in the United States, in the state of Illinois, probably other states. City of Chicago is a center of street gang activity. The top 3 street gangs have membership estimated at 68,000, and that doesn't include some of the smaller gangs in the city. It's believed to be over 100,000. And the number of sworn officers in the Chicago Police Department is 12,250. I guess in that range is what they use, and I don't know whether all those billets are filled or not. But at 100,000, that's roughly a 10-to-1 plurality of street gang members over the sworn officers in the city of Chicago. There's legislative findings. First paragraph, you're talking about the rights of the individual citizens to be secure and protected from fear, intimidation, and physical harm caused by the activities of violent groups and individuals. We're talking about street gangs. And they, talk about if somebody's acting constitutionally, they don't need to worry about that. Those rights are protected. If you're a street gang, you're not acting constitutionally, though. In paragraph B, I think you might want to read this, and let me go ahead and read this as you look. The General Assembly finds, however, that urban, suburban, and rural communities, neighborhoods, and schools throughout the state, and they're talking about Illinois, are being terrorized and plundered by street gangs. The General Assembly finds that there are now several hundred street gangs operating in Illinois, and that while their terrorism is most widespread in urban areas, street gangs are spreading in the suburban and rural areas of Illinois. And the General Assembly further finds that street gangs are often controlled by criminally sophisticated adults who take advantage of our youth by intimidating and coercing them into membership, by employing them as drug couriers and runners, and by using them to commit brutal crimes against persons and property to further the financial benefit to and the dominance of the street gang. And D, these street gangs are activities. Let me do that over. These street gangs activities present clear and present danger to public order and safety and are not constitutionally protected. No society is or should be required to endure such activities without redress. Accordingly, it is the intent of the General Assembly in enacting this act to create a civil remedy against street gangs and their members that focus upon the patterns of criminal gang activity and upon the organized nature of street gangs, which together have been the chief source of their success. Now, this is civil laws, civil liabilities, where they can go after them like a RICO action. There is also state statutes regarding corrupt groups, RICO, criminal action can be taken against them. Now, we've had street gangs for the last, since the early, long time. But they've become a very serious problem, and their activities have accelerated since about 1970, the late 60s. In the late 60s, by the way, they were going to try and eradicate these gangs, and they got federal grants, federal money. And all they did is the gangs themselves used that money to expand their operations to where it is today. We have people, we have community organizers been helping them, yeah, community organizer, but that's a communist term, by the way. And that's where it originated at. And we've had people helping them. We recently had the mayor of Chicago. He expunged on his own arrest records of young people where they had not gone to court and been convicted. So they just wiped those out. Now if they join a gang later on, we don't have any record of what they did previously. And we should have that. Also, we have the Obama administration, the president himself, through his attorney general, releasing people from prison who've been given mandatory sentences. That's what the law is. And they're going to just do it on their own, go into the court system, the judicial system, and just allow these people back on the streets. Oh, the excuse is that they are non-violent. Well, I got news for you. The number one business of street gangs in the city of Chicago, and I would argue other places, is drugs. It is not a non-violent crime. It's destroying the lives of our young people, as is the street gangs. They're a terrorist organization, and the State General Assembly of Illinois is absolutely correct in describing them as such through their findings. And people should be we don't hear from the press about this at all. And we should know about it. People should know about it. This is one of the reasons that law-abiding citizens in the city of Chicago and in the state of Illinois need to be armed against domestic terrorism.